So, after doing so many calendars, like, let's see. Something's not working and you're not, okay. After doing 97 calendars before this one, it would seem natural that, what would I do for a calendar? Who knows? So, yeah. You probably have many ideas, and if you saw last month's calendar, you probably know what this month's theme is. But, okay, so, the calendar was so out there. I mean, was it? Okay, so what would be more natural for me to do than the Land Before Time? Now, one thing you gotta think of is, why on earth the Land Before Time? Well, yeah, this did seem a little different for me, and actually when I announced it in last calendar, you might be able to hear my mom go like, no, in the background, and yeah, maybe it's a tiny bit embarrassing, but if you think about it, so last year, actually, I had watched all the Land Before Time movies, all 14 last fall. And so I was like to myself, the first one, okay, so the sequels were maybe okay, but it was the first one that, it just had an emotional touch to it that was so awesomely, it just has this emotional touch to it that, I just really, really like it. And I know it's cheesy of a choice, but, it just had an emotional touch that really made me want to do it. And it may have in part to do with the song, If We Hold On Together, which, by the way, it reminded me of another movie I watched a while back that, for some reason, when I watched that one, it wasn't the same as I remembered at all. The ending scene was not the same at all. I don't know what happened there. And there was also just, I don't know, but Land Before Time is just a very touching movie, and so, yes, it's a kid's movie, but I just decided that's what I wanted to do. And, you may notice that, okay, so, about the sequels for Land Before Time. When Land Before Time had the sequels, they were direct to DVDs, and yes, I've watched all of them, and I didn't really dislike all of them. I really thought, number 7 was interesting, but, they just don't have the emotional touch that I'm looking at, so, don't really expect me to do any more Land Before Time calendars after this, because, the first one is really by itself, I guess, in the style and everything. Yeah, so it's a really great and artistic movie, I think. And yeah, did I say this already? I think one of the sad things, though, when I was watching it, If We Hold On Together, that was playing, the end credits are rolling, and I just wanted to look at some of the people who were in the movie, like kid actors. You never know if they'll continue on later on, so I was looking at the voicers of the main characters, and, and then, yeah, the song was playing in the background, and I looked up the girl called Judy Barcy, I think her name is, and apparently she died before it came out, so that really, made me want to cry, I guess. And so, I guess, in a way, the movie was great, everything was great, but I think that partly, filled the emotional value. In a way that sort of felt very emotional, and it was sad. Really sad. And so, so this calendar should probably be in memory of her, too. That's really sad. But, so, yeah, just remember her. And so, she was the actor of Ducky, just so you know. And she's apparently one of the great actors that he wanted to hire in multiple films, and Ducky was her favorite role. So, yeah. Yep. If you want to put it that way. So, you know, Land Before Time just has this touch to it. And I think it would, even if, you know, if it wasn't sort of... I think they should have put a memory of her in the end. But, you know, you just have this touch to it that really, I think, is understandable. Like, when Littlefoot's mother died, that also makes you feel really sad. Or, at least to me. Yeah. Which is really sad. But I don't think it should be rated R like I think somebody said on Common Sense Media. That's probably a little too much. Maybe PG. I don't think G was the best rating. I hear they cut out something to keep it from being PG. But then again, the standards for PG were different back then because PG-13 was a new thing. And, yeah. So it was... Basically, PG was for a lot of stuff. Yeah, so... I mean, PG meant a whole wide group. And so... Yeah. But this is actually, the 5th oldest theme that I've done. The oldest was Sound of Music from 1965, I think. The second oldest is, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Then, Star Wars Episode 5, I should really be showing these, but I don't have them opened up. Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. And then Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And, yeah, so, wait, no, number 4 is Return of the Jedi. And so, in number 5 was originally Sonic the Hedgehog, but then this was 1988, and Sonic the Hedgehog was 1991, and so Land Before Time is before it. And actually, this was before I was born. This was released... before I was born, like, by 8 years. So this is 8 years older than me. So, yeah. But I still thought it was very interesting. Okay, so, yeah, this is a story about Littlefoot going, he loses his mom, unfortunately, and then, you know, he meets all these, friends, and he decides to go on this great journey to find the Great Valley, which is where there would be a lot of, you know, food, because all the food was running out. And so he's on the way to the Great Valley, and then there's, you know, but his mom dies, Sarah gets separated from her family because of an earthquake, and so they have to team up. It's sort of cute, but, you know, yeah. It's still very interesting, I guess. And so, it's actually only 69 minutes long, which is just 1 minute longer than K-Man 4, which, if you may or may not know, was just released onto YouTube this Labor Day weekend, but it's based off of the 4th of July, so, you know, it's supposed to take place on the 4th of July while I'm visiting my family, and so... But Land Before Time's only 1 minute longer, but yet it just feels so complete, like, it feels like it fills up its runtime. A lot of movies can be 2 hours long, and you watch it, and it almost feels like nothing happened. Well, Land Before Time's the opposite. It's only a little over an hour, and it feels like so much happened in that 1 hour that... you know, that it feels like you think you've been watching it longer than the movie really is. And yes, my brother says it's boring, but I think it's a sweet movie. And so, yeah. Let's talk about colors. Okay, so this was a very interesting one to do. Okay, so Land Before Time was sort of a painted movie. It was done traditional animation, which actually this is, I think, my 3rd traditional animation calendar. Not including Sonic the Hedgehog, because that's a video game. So this is only my 3rd traditional animation calendar. The others were Avatar. But yeah, I haven't done any traditional animated Disney. But here is what we have. Okay, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to capture a color that sort of felt Land Before Time-y. And this was a really complicated thing to do. I really did not know where to start, or I knew it was supposed to be yellowish, orangish, and people are making noises in the hallway, so you probably hear that. And maybe a touch of a blue or purple. And so I was like trying to figure out what kind of mixture to have. And I did an alternation between yellow and orange, but it just didn't feel right. And I felt there needed to be more reds and, yeah, some more blues. And so what I did was I ended up trying to figure out what to do. And then I came across this picture. This picture is not on the calendar. It doesn't feel quite like, it fits the calendar. It's not very photographic for artistically. But the sky color sort of really fit the idea I was wanting to go for. And so I sort of used the sky color as a basis for this thing right here. So what I ended up with, what am I doing? I should have had that opened up. Didn't. So yeah. Let's see. And yes, I feel guilty for, whatever. Oh yeah, let's just say that, let's see, this was the original background idea. It just didn't seem right. And so what I did was I created Try To, and it ended up looking like this. Yeah. But it was, let's see, it was good, but, it just wasn't ready. So, what I did was I transferred it over to GIMP. GIMP's already open, so hopefully it doesn't have to load everything. So I transferred it over to GIMP, and what I did was this very nice, I took out the smudge tool, and I just started smudging it. And so what I ended up with was this really nice smudgy cloudy effect. Okay, because, Land Before Time is a movie that was painted. So, or the backgrounds were painted. And so what I had to do was try to capture that effect. And so once I captured the effect, sort of started smudging it, I ended up finally ending up with a good look that I felt was good. Now, I left it like that for a while, but then I looked at some of these color correction things. It was originally like this, and that is nice, but I don't know, it just doesn't catch the eye. And so I increased the contrast by 50%. I was actually going to do this one, but this one, no wait, something. I was going to do one of these, but it was too dark. And so I just decided increasing the contrast. Now this would have looked good too, but I felt like this one was going too far. Oh wait, no, this is contrast 60. 60% contrast. So yeah, I felt the other one was going too far, and so I kept it that way. This text is very simple. I just used our Julian. And purple. I thought purple would look good on this, and then I just used a shadow. I've discussed that in a lot of calendars before, so I'm probably not going to do that again. Now here's the complicated thing. So I wanted to do sort of, oh man, why is a good dinosaur not opened up? That could work too, because, oh yeah, by the way, this is my second dinosaur calendar this year. But to be honest, I think Land Before Time is my favorite dinosaur calendar. I mean, my favorite dinosaur movie. Land Before Time, I really think, is my favorite dinosaur movie. And yeah, Brian Hull actually said that it was his favorite Don Bluth film, and that's probably true. Or he also had Anastasia, which I haven't seen yet. But yeah, I wanted a sort of scaly texture also, but maybe also dirt. And so this was something that I had to create also. And you'll have to see that what I wanted to do though, so I had to create 3 different boxes because you know how the color transitioned over time, it just, let's see. How it transitioned over time, it switched from 3 different shades of similar colors. And so what I did was I just got 3 different colors, the same size, and did the gradients, and then I brought it over to paint. Okay, so what I did, this is actually darkened, and I'll try to explain why. But what happened was I brought it over to paint, and I went to filters and distort. This was something I was actually trying to see what it did on the other one, and I turned it to mosaic. And let's just say that there might have been a little bit more detail involved, and that did not do anything. Edit, undo mosaic because I was on the wrong option. And let's see, filters, distort, mosaic, and this is GIMP, just so you know. Yeah, and that looked cool, but it just left a bunch of background emptiness. So that is where this came in. This darkened one, I just did a single layer of the darker one and put it in the layer behind this one. So now, the empty spaces were colored in with the same one as the first one. But, just because I did that, it turned out looking more like this. Now, I was going to leave this in my calendar for a tiny bit, but then I thought to myself, I'm going for paint. Why am I doing this? This just doesn't look very painted. And so that is when I decided, so that just didn't work, so what I did was I had to make this look like it was painted. And let's see, artistic, oilify. And so what I did was oilify that, and I had to oilify it quite a few times because I just couldn't capture the depth right away. So yeah, let's see. It ended up being this, but that was still too whatever. And then eventually I did it enough layers so it turned out that I'm probably gonna cut that other thing. It turned out that it turned out looking a little painted. Now that since it's small, I should have probably made the mosaic texture, whatever mosaic means, I should know that. But it turns out that the texture is sort of, you know, like, looks more painted when you get closer up. And so it looks sort of painted rather than, you know, like CGI. Which is what Land Before Time should seem like, because Land Before Time is not CGI, because CGI didn't exist in complete animated movies back then. And I highly doubt that John Bluth would have had the technology. Maybe Disney did, I think. The Little Mermaid, when did that come out? Sometime around then. Yeah, they did start using CGI in movies, but I don't think Don Bluth had that technology. So, yeah. And yes, I've heard comparisons to Bambi in this, but I think I like this better. And yes, I'm one of those weird film directors who likes the newer better than the older a lot of the time. And you'll have to forgive me for that. And this is actually one of the older films I actually like and do a calendar for. I didn't want to do Sound of Music. Okay, so here is a picture of Ducky. She is trying to get the attention of, as they call it, Sharptooth, which is a T-Rex, as we know it. A Tyrannosaurus Rex, I guess. There's probably an even more scientific kind of name. But, you know, she wants to get the attention of Sharptooth so they can mislead him. Here is another clip, or another picture. This is when Littlefoot and Ducky meet for the first time. I guess they got separated from their families, and, you know, Littlefoot is a little hesitant to try to make friends with long necks, because that's just, you know, that's just the way it is, which is the long necks and Apatosaurus, I think, which is what Arlo is. So Arlo and Littlefoot may or may not be related. Just remember, it's a may not, so, you know. So yeah, but then he decides that he's not going with Sarah's father's idea that long necks only play with long necks. And so yeah, because that's not his style. And then here is Littlefoot. He sees a cloud that resembles his mother, and he misses his mother. And so yeah, he sort of, you know, he thinks he can't make it to the Great Valley. And then here is all of them as friends. And, oh yeah, by the way, remember, these calendars provide spoilers, and, yeah. So they're in the Great Valley now, and they're friends. There's actually another picture that they use, more often in ad stuff, which is this picture. But, yeah, that's a good picture, I guess. But I like this one a little more. And no source of power. And then, here we have a volcano. For some reason, Land Before Time and Lord of the Rings always make me think of each other. I don't know why. It's really weird. Maybe it's because of volcanoes. I don't know. But yeah. They're going to go there. They're having a journey. And they're in the wrong place. They're heading away from the Great Valley. So, yeah. And here's Littlefoot with a tree star that his mom gave him. Yeah, he gets a tree star. That's nice. And then here is a sad scene where his mom dies. So, yeah. It's sad, and, you know, I don't want my mom. I don't want my mama to die, as Curtis once said. So, yeah. And then here is Sarah getting mad at Littlefoot because she's always upset about Littlefoot, and maybe Littlefoot's getting a little bossy. That's probably the thing. He's getting pretty bossy, and then Sarah just, you know, is always bossy, and she doesn't like being bossed around, even though she's bossier. But, you know, she was just, you know, upset with Littlefoot pushing them too hard. And he probably was. He was getting impatient, but he had good intentions, and, you know, and they get into fights because, you know, they just really, I don't know. And then here in the center is, the poster for the movie. I don't know if this was a release poster or if it came years later, but, this is a poster that is very interesting. I know this calendar is not the calendar where you'll get into the... This video is not the calendar where you'll get into the, creation versus evolution debate. I'm not into that conversation right now, and I really don't have an answer. I believe in God, but, you know, I'm not going to get into that debate. And Land Before Time's a good movie anyway. So, yeah. Here they are, crossing the bridge. And, yeah. So, if you want to get into the debate, then I have a complicated philosophy video, which I haven't done that channel in a long time, but I do have a video talking about it. It's very complicated, but this is not the place to get into that debate. Oh yeah, this picture thing. This came with the calendar. That was in the template I used. I don't know the relevance of it, but I thought it looked nice, and so I decided to go ahead and use it. It took away some picture room, but I thought it gave it an interesting touch. So here is Sharptooth chasing Sarah and Littlefoot into some thorn bushes, and apparently Sharptooth doesn't mind. Oh yeah, I might decide to mention Chomper though. Because Chomper is a Sharptooth, and that has nothing to do with this. And here is a picture I thought was very cute, because Littlefoot was hugging his mother. And it's great when you can hug your mom. I can really relate to hugging my mom, because it's such a great thing. But I'm not in Montana anymore, so I can't see her all the time. And then here is Littlefoot's mother fighting Sharptooth. This is actually, I think, a really good picture. I mean, I don't know if I like unrealistic lighting or whatever. It's not my style, but it still looks very good how they do this. Like, the lighting just seems to work. And don't ask me how, because I'm not a lighting technique guy. That's not my job, and I don't understand how different lighting feels different emotions, and I don't know if it... I don't think in my movie that should, even though it really works with Land Before Time, because Land Before Time feels very artistic. And then here is Littlefoot saving Spike and Ducky from, you know, just this lava coming up, because Sarah misled them, and he's gonna knock over this rock and create a bridge. Yeah. And then let's go to this picture last, because this picture is a good last picture. Wow, there's a lot of laughing in the background. I mean, that's just hilarious. I mean, no, I'm joking. I don't know what they're laughing about. I think they're watching football. I don't know. So here is them getting tree stars to eat in the ground where there's not many. And they try to climb a tree because, you know, Petrie can't fly, so it's just like, he can't fly, he falled, yeah, that's very funny. So he falled, and yeah. So, and here is Petrie also in some oil or whatever, and Sarah's walking away. You can barely see her, but you know, I don't know why, but this just seemed like a great picture. The style and everything, the colors just seemed so dramatic, I guess, and it just really seemed like something I'd want to do for my calendar. And yeah. Oh yeah, what we talked about in cinema class today, I'm focusing on one of the 4 points. 4 points that if you create 3 lines, yeah, instead of right in the center, Petrie's right. If you create a 3x3, then you get 4 center points, and Petrie is about approximately in one. Oh, and as you know, this aspect ratio for this film was originally 1:3 is what it said on IMDb. They reformatted it, which I actually, so this is a picture of the Great Valley, and what I was saying is that I actually got a picture, a screenshot from a widescreen version, and yes, most films are filmed in widescreen, and that is really, well, I don't know, depends. I actually like widescreen more than full screen, but Land Before Time was made for, full screen. So when it was converted to widescreen, just like when you convert widescreen to full screen, you have to cut off the edges. But what they did here in Land Before Time, this was a picture from the widescreen edition, which I didn't check out. But you can see that the top of it's missing. And so, you know, the widescreen version just isn't the superior format here. I mean, widescreen does look better, but you know, you're missing part of the picture, and to me, I want to see it as the directors intended it. So yeah, just so you know, this is, you know, the aspect ratio is 1:3 to 1. That's mostly full. It's like, they say 4 to, 4 times 3, or 4 one way, 3 another. So basically, yeah. So it's a little wide. Wait, it's 4 to 3. Okay, something like that. And so, yeah, this is how it is. And so they reach the Great Valley, and it's called Finally Found, the picture is. And that's a reference to a song in Land Before Time 2, which is also a musical. That's one thing that they changed with the sequels. And I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, but they can have some good songs, but it's just not something I'm a huge fan of. And yeah, like I said, I like If We Hold On Together in the end, which seems very, you know, it doesn't seem like, because people don't naturally sing, so characters singing just doesn't seem natural to me. There's some interesting stuff in the sequels, though. So, but the first one is definitely recommended. The sequels, depends on how you feel about direct-to-DVD sequels. So yeah. And last month's theme was The Lord of the Rings 2, The Two Towers. And yes, I actually did Roman numerals, because I know I should have known this, but, depending on what it is, 2 doesn't look as good with Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings is more ancient style, and Roman numerals work better with ancient style. It's a more modern style, because they didn't add a number in the actual title, and I like to add numbers, because it just seems wrong to leave people wondering what number it is if they're not familiar with the material. They have to look on Wikipedia to find out what number it is, and sometimes that still confuses them, and so I think it's better to add a number. It helps the audience be able to follow along better. It makes the audience have an easier time following along. So I put a 2 there. But I did it in Roman numerals, which look better for the source material. I will come back to this, because next month's theme cannot be revealed until the end of the video. I have something planned, and I don't know what you'll think, but, you know, this Land Before Time was a sort of unexpected theme that just didn't normally come. It was something that was sort of unexpected. And that was cool. I wanted to do something that was out of the ordinary. So there's not much until, Labor Day! And Labor Day was the day that Cayman the 4th was on YouTube. Yep, I put this on the calendar because I knew I had time. So Cayman the 4th is now on YouTube. Oh, but, you know, and that was Labor Day, which happened. And then Ninjago Season 7 is now on DVD, I guess. I forgot about this. I don't think I'm gonna watch it on DVD right away, because I want to wait to see it with my family, because we really enjoy watching Ninjago together. Or at least that's the last I checked on Amazon. I could be completely wrong, and they could have deceived me. And so, yeah. And then I could have made a mistake to you, because it's not lying to make a mistake. And on the 10th is Grandparents' Day, apparently. So yeah. If you talk to your grandparents a lot, talk to them, I guess. And here is the day of 9/11. that was the day in history where something bad happened. And the Twin Towers were destroyed, and you probably know that. So you gotta remember those, just like you remember Judy Barcy, because that's sad. And then, you can read it. It's embarrassing to say out loud, the title. More embarrassing than... Now, if I made that into a calendar, I would be concerned. I mean, I haven't seen the movie yet, and I probably will when it comes to DVD. But if I do that into a calendar, I'm going to be concerned about my mentality, if I'm even capable of functioning anymore. No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if I watch it, I don't know. It just seems... The title itself makes it sound like it's going to be a crude show. It may not be the worst. I mean, the preview looked less crude than the actual title suggested. And Next Night Season 3 is on DVD. But yeah. Still, that's not a very good outfit to wear. And I wouldn't recommend wearing it. Especially not in public. And here, the Wonder Woman is on DVD. It's the Wonder Woman. I don't think it's the Wonder Woman, I think it's just Wonder Woman on DVD. And then the School for Good and Evil Book 4 in stores. So when I was visiting Montana, I would read The School of Good and Evil. Book 1 was on the way there, and I read Book 2 while there, and my sister read Book 3, and I'm in the middle of Book 3. I don't know how this is gonna go, but it might be very interesting. So, yeah. School of Good and Evil Book 4 is in stores on the 19th along with Wonder Woman. And then we have the 20th, and then the 22nd is the first day of fall. And then the Lego Ninjago movie in theaters. Now, I really, really don't know how to feel about the Lego Ninjago movie. Like, Lego Ninjago, the TV show, is like one of the best TV shows ever. And I think that's really a big part of it, you know? I really, really, really... I could give Ninjago 5 stars. And so, yeah. And the thing is, the movie's coming out, and it's a completely different vision, so... I'm probably just used to the vision of the TV show, but... Yeah, that sort of messes with my vision of the movie. I probably would have thought differently about the movie. More positively, I'd probably think more positively if I wasn't such a huge fan of the TV show. Actually, I made a calendar for the first 2 episodes of the TV show for April. Lego April 2017. So yeah, if you want to go look at that in the, whatever. Then you probably could. And, yeah, it's a very... So, the movie, I don't know yet. I'll have to wait to see it. I don't even have money to go see it in theaters if I wanted to, but the next good movie coming out, I think, is Thor 3. Yeah. So there's not very much happening for the rest of the month, and that closes out the month of September. And I hope I said everything that, that I should say about the calendar. And now it's time to go look at next month's theme. Next month's theme is going to be, and now don't be shocked by what it is, because this is going to be something that might scare you. Coraline! So, for October 2017, I am doing Coraline. Now, that has been my September 2017 calendar. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah. Thanks for watching.